Hi there. April flew by in the whirlwind. My mother's dementia worsened rapidly, leading to the hospital admission. Finally had a moment to update you on my April garden in Zone 5B, Eastern Iowa. The first flower to emerge are dwarf iris, which started blooming in late March. Two fire sheep arborvitae suffer winter burn and deer damage. I love the mid-blue color of the Iris reticularis alida and the combination of Catherine Hodgkin and Winter Aconite, as they both feature beautiful yellow hues. I found that dwarf irises perform better than crocuses. Both bulbs need to be planted in fall, and they both bloom in early spring, but the flower of the dwarf iris are much larger and more reliable than crocus. What is your experience? As April arrives, the garden begins to wake up. One of the first shrubs to bloom in the backyard is Forsythia show-off starlet. It's supposed to stay compact at 3 x 3 feet, but it's grown much larger than expected. Even though yellow isn't my favorite color, but after a long gray winter, I really don't mind it, especially since its bright bloom are impossible to miss from far away. I have these yellow pears with my Karsten Winter Gold Mugo Pine, which is still holding on to its golden winter hue. Around the same time, hellebore joker also begins to bloom. It is one of the most foliaceous varieties grown by Plant Delight's nursery. It has a large creamy flower with a pink flush backs. It has a pink rims as it's aged. I also picked up a few more hellebore that I have been excited to show you, mainly for their stunning foliage. I got the hellebore elemental. Look at this marble leaf with the pink veins. That's very unique. And Dorothy Dawn, which also feature lighter green marble but also have a pink veins. I can't believe I planted them in the mid-April, even though our last frost date is technically mid-May, but this year warmed up so quickly, so I took the chance. The early daffodil began filling the garden in mid-April. The first to bloom was Ice King, which always seems to lead the way in my garden. A few years ago, I planted nearly 30 different varieties of daffodil in the fall, and I have been trying to identify them all as they bloom. I have included a video link and listed the variety in the description if you're curious to see them too. It's not until mid-April that I get to see my Tulipa annelida bloom for the first time this year. I absolutely love the striking color contrast it offers. Look at the golden yellow at the center, blending into the vivid red and aged with the crisp white of the outer petals. The bloom close up at night and open again during the day when the weather warms, adding a dynamic charm to the garden. My garden began to come alive in the third week of April when the mid-season daffodils started to bloom. I bought more daffodil to plant this fall along the slope, interplanting them among the perennials. This year I'm on a tight budget after my mother had to move into the nursing home, so most of my garden plants are on pause. But in a way that pause brings a quiet kind of clarity, time to reflect on the garden, to observe and to think about what could be improved. Without that space to breathe, the season can rush by in a blur of activity and exhaustion, leaving the little room to truly nurture the garden or even yourself. As the days passed, my Darwin tulips began to emerge just as most of my daffodil reached their peak bloom. I absolutely love Darwin tulips. Their flowers are impressively large and make such a bold statement in the garden. I also pick up another Dorothy Dawn hellebore from Lowe's. I just love how the sunlight filters through the delicate sepal. It gives the whole plant such a magical pink glow. In my garden, I have both red impression and apricot impression Darwin tulip. One thing I have noticed is the gap between the early and mid-season bloomers. I realized I should plant more early blooming tulips, and not just stick on one variety like Tulipa annulata. When you plant multiple varieties within each blooming globe, like I did with the 2 Darwin and 3 lily flowering tulips, you get a beautiful overlapping between the mid and late bloomers. It really helps extend the color and the interest in the garden. Among the late blooming tulips, the most reliable one to return each year have been the lily flowering types. On the left I have Tulipa sonnet with its elegant yellow-edged petals, and on the right is Tulipa merlot, showing the case of this rich red wine color. The third lily flowering tulips I have is Tulipa ballerina. It's the vibrant orange tulip you see nestled among the Darwins. The area beneath the maple tree is one of the toughest spots in the garden for plants to establish. The dense shades from the canopy and the extensive shallow roots create a lot of competition for water and nutrients. But one thing that does surprisingly well is spring bulbs. That's because they will finish their growth before the tree canopy shades the area. It's better to choose the early blooming variety for these tricky spots, but I also planted the mid to late blooming tulips in this area because I have noticed that deer don't seem to browse my garden as much as in early spring, probably because there's plenty of the natural food available in the wooded area behind my backyard. Plus, this part of the garden faces west, so it gets good sunlight from afternoon into the evening, at least until the maple tree fully leaves out in summer. Epimedium is another plant that also do well in the area underneath the maple tree. By the end of April, the vibrant red spring growth of Picea abies blaze brings a fresh burst of excitement to the garden. It signals the next phase of the season, something new to look forward to as the spring display evolves. And that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this garden update. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!